So, I thought I'd try something new for a change and try this whole YouTube thing. To be honest, don't know if anyone's going to watch it, don't know if anyone's going to like it, but it is what it is. So, either way, this is the MAFEX eradicator. It's number 219 in the series. This is the fourth Superman style figure we've had. Honestly, very good figure. Some people are really not liking him for multiple reasons, but I'm sure we can get into that later. One thing I always like looking at, especially with figures, is the size of the figure. And most people tend to leave size comparisons to the end. But just for a little bit of reference, this is a very common Captain America. I believe this is the anniversary edition, the one where everyone complained about the holes in the shield. So it gives you a rough scale for Marvel Legends, if that's something that does bother you. Ooh, apologies. And then we have Steel, which is a much bigger figure. Yes, he's on a stand, so it does add a lot, but even if you put him on the stand with him, you know, he's a much bulkier, bigger figure, which as he should be probably. Then you have Cyborg Superman. Obviously the pose does affect this, but he's roughly the same size as the other Superman. So it gives you a rough template, and I don't have to try and repose everything. And then, of course, the main man, Superman. Of course, flight stand does help, but I would say this is a bulkier build. It's really hard to tell from the chest shape because they've got different chests. But yeah, all round, he looks very fantastic. His color scheme is very striking, which is something that I really like about this figure. He does stand out. I had a minor QC issue on my copy. Unfortunately, some people call these chicken feet. I understand why. They go underneath the cape like this. This one, it needs to be moved, really. I know some people have had a lot of issues with glue around the edges, unfortunately. And this one, unfortunately, came out, but that's fine. I'll take some time at some point and glue it back in. While we're on the subject of the cape, it is your typical very large MAFEX wired cape, and I must admit they always look fantastic. They did do the symbol the correct way from the reissue. I think mine's actually off center though. Oh no, it's just me. They did the original MAFEX Superman was missing some of the little lines, details, and made it look really off. With the reissue, they did address this, and it looks a lot better, which is always good. Yeah, but other than that, it's very standard MAFEX, to be honest, and it just looks really impressive. So I think next is always a good chance to do accessories. Of course, you have standard head, looks very nice, and a nice angry boy head. I think it actually looks pretty cool. Again, this figure probably isn't for everyone. Hands, of course, 2 fists that he comes with it in the packaging. More relaxed palm-esque hands, I guess. Slightly open. Flaring, maybe grabbing a fist, you know, blocking a punch type of thing, or grabbing someone. It does come with 2 sets of basically like flight karate style hands, and of course one is very bright and one standard. This is for the Eradicator's ability, or ability as such, I guess, which is to shoot laser beams from his hand. And these, if I get them the right way around, tends to help. Did I do that the right? There we go. Much better. And they fit in much like this, and of course they go onto the figure, but we'll show that later properly. I don't know why. These hands also kind of remind me, I think it's the G Gundam, with the bright hands he has. But for now, we'll take a closer look at the figure. He does look very nice. The paint work is really nice. I know one thing some people have had with this figure is that if they're struggling to find a nice pose, because you want this blue line that goes all the way through the figure to match, and that can be difficult. But I don't really see that as too much of an issue, but I completely understand it. It does also follow around on the back, which is really nice to see. One thing that I was actually really happy with this figure, and they don't do with a lot of them, is the joints. Some figures don't have this sort of level of detail on the joints, which is a shame, because it really helps the fluidity of the figure and doesn't break up suddenly at a joint. But all around, very solid. Next we go into the posing, which is pretty standard for MAFEX. You know, you're up, down, left, right, can swivel as much as you want. All round pretty good. Arms, of course, go up. Bicep swivel. They do also have, a butterfly. It's not a very large butterfly, but it does give him a little further range of motion, which is nice. So you can bring the arm a bit more forwards, because without the butterfly it only sits about there. Of course, he's got a really nice bicep hinge, which is great. Hands are pretty typical. Swivel, up, down. If you want to go the other direction, use the ball joint. Of course, everything's the same for both sides. Abs, I'd recommend being a little bit careful. MAFEXs are known to scratch on the lower stomachs if you're not careful with the crunch, but you can crunch all the way in and pretty nicely back. So you got a nice little ab movement, of course, side to side as well. And then the lower of the abs, again, very nice range of side to side, but it can leave gaps if you're not careful with the posing. And very nice crunch forwards, very nice crunch backwards, which is always nice to see. Yeah, sometimes these kicks can be a bit frustrating. Now for the legs. They can kick about this far forwards, which isn't honestly that amazing. Of course, you probably could manipulate the figure to get it a little bit higher, or make it look a little bit higher. To the sides, not a full split, but, you know, I don't know when you'd honestly use that. Legs, I've got a very good joint here as well, which is nice to see. Sometimes figures can be a little limited. The toes are pretty standard. Ball rocker, a nice degree of side to side, and of course toes, which is nice to see. Not every figure company does that. I guess now we'll look at the hands. Standard pop off, and then we'll grab the G Gundam style, as I call it. They do pop on actually quite nice when I put them on the right hand. And I think, you know what, these actually look really nice. They're very nice translucent. Of course, you can see the peg, but that's pretty standard for translucent style plastic. Of course, this is meant for more of his, again, the ability of him. Unfortunately, the Eradicator's had quite a lot of variants over the years, where essentially after the death of Superman, of course, you had Steel, Cyborg, Superboy. He is sometimes a clone made by the Kryptonians. Other times he's like another robot or something, or another clone just of Superman. You know, there's a lot of variants of him. And of course, I might not be doing it properly, but these do plug in quite nicely when you get them the correct way around. What am I doing wrong? Is it me? Oh, dropping everything today, I'm really sorry. Must just be me. Either way, when you get these on properly, they do look really nice. They are quite long. It does remind me a lot of the Cyborg Superman style, I guess, but his are a lot rounder and obviously less energy beamy. And even though they are energy beams. Yeah, They are quite long, so if you want him to have these on, you might have to keep that in mind. But if you wanted to, say, have one active and one not active, I guess that's an option. But all round, he is a very, very lovely figure. And he can do the more, typical Superman flight style poses quite nicely. Of course, you might want to mess with the cape a bit more. This is just a quick demonstration. One thing I like to do with capes a lot is use the back to fold on itself, and it gives like a nice riffle, especially from the front. So you just fold the cape back on itself and then back forwards again. It can really help with this sort of the flow, especially, obviously I'd tweak it a bit more, maybe make it look a bit nicer, but I think all round this is a really fantastic figure. And if you're big into the reign of Superman, I think this is a very good figure to pick up. So for now, just put him here. The box for MAFEX is just very standard, but it's very nice. These are almost nice to display on their own. He does look really nice. I just need to fix my cape issues. Other than that, that's it for me, really. I'm going to try do maybe one of these a week, if I can, because I work a lot. Between work, finding time, the house is quiet, and such. It's not always easy, but we'll try. I do have a lot more MAFEX to review. Mostly I'm a MAFEX collector these days, but I do have a lot of other figures. Unfortunately, they are on storage. But, this camera angle isn't the best, but he does fit in very, very nicely with the rest of the MAFEX. So, thank you for your time. If you enjoyed, the typical YouTube crap. And hopefully I'll continue this series if I enjoy doing this. See ya.